Hey everybody, this is John Mills with Travel by Beth, and I am going to spend a little time showing you about a awesome trip that we are doing in conjunction with ClarkLindsey in Urbana, Illinois. So whether you're at ClarkLindsey or perhaps a prospect that is looking into living there, you're all invited, friends and family as well, to go on the trip that we're doing, and it is to the Panama Canal. That's the focus of it, although we'll be in the Caribbean quite a bit of the time as well. The trip is scheduled for March 24th through April 4th of next year, so 2023, and we will be sailing on Holland America's Eurodam. So I'm going to kind of go through a little bit about why we picked Holland America, why this ship, and a little bit about what Holland America provides to you if you are going on one of their sailings. And they do an awesome job, and you'll see that in a minute. But first, let's look a little bit at what we're going to do, where we're going to sail to, and options for that. So, like I said, the focus is on the Panama Canal. This cruise will enter the canal from the east side. And if you didn't already know, the Panama Canal is one of the 7 engineering wonders of the world. You can see a picture here of the canal itself with a cruise ship in it, and you can see how large this is relative to the width of the canal. So a very unique experience in itself, just being able to sail through there as we go. So here's our overall itinerary. Again, March 24th through April 4th. This is the 10-day Panama Canal Sunfarer. So we will be starting and stopping in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So that's our starting point. We get a full day at Half Moon Cay, which is Holland America's private island, which will be a great beach day there. Then we sail south to the very furthest reaches of the southern Caribbean, almost to South America, really, where we'll visit Curacao and Aruba. We'll have another day that we sail over to the Panama Canal, where we visit the canal, Colón, Panama, and then also up to Costa Rica in Puerto Limón, which when I switch over here to the next slide here, this is actually going to give you the day by day. So I won't go through every little single thing here, but you could always come back and glance at this. But this gives our arrival and departure times. Probably the biggest thing to note here is on March 31st, there are 5 different entries here. And these are just kind of giving you what we will be doing that day that we enter the Panama Canal. As I said, we will be entering the canal on the east side, Caribbean side. With the small town there is called Cristobal, so that's the official entry point. Although Colón really is in that same area. Those 2 towns really join each other, essentially. Once we enter, we are going to spend some time in Gatun Lake, which is the interior lake area and waterways of Panama. We make a brief stop in Panama there, and then we will be exiting the canal the same way we came in, around 1 p.m. These are all estimated times, of course. And then we have an evening right at the entrance to the canal in Colón, Panama, as I mentioned before. Then on to Costa Rica, and then it's a 2 full day sail back to Fort Lauderdale. So plenty of time on the water, but yet plenty of awesome stops that we will get to see and experience. So why did we use Holland America? If you're not familiar with Holland America, they've been around for a very long time, and they do an excellent job. They're one of the top-rated cruise lines for U.S. sailors. They do things a little bit differently. They are not the cruise line that has roller coasters and 3D, games and all that kind of stuff. They're a little more old school, but they provide an excellent product with excellent service. One of the things I did want to point out is that when we do enter the canal, one of the things that they do well is they will bring on actually an onboard or a local guide that will get on the ship to narrate all about the history of the canal, the building of the canal, and then of course around the area that we're going to be traveling through as well, not just about the canal. But Holland America, as I mentioned, they do such a great job of everything, but particularly wanted to point out food, how they assist in exploring the countries that we're going to be visiting and how they bring that culture on board. And then also music. They have a music program that is really like none other, and I'll detail that here in just a little bit. But just some pictures of the area. Here's a little more breakdown of what Holland America is all about. I'm going to start with the right-hand side here, the ship itself. If you're wondering, it's a very moderately sized ship. This ship, the Eurodam, will hold about 2,000 passengers. But even at full capacity, this is a big enough ship that nothing feels crowded. This isn't going to be a ship where you have 1,000 people in line just to get a drink at the pool bar and things like that. It's by today's standards, moderately sized, but it's also very moderately, the capacity is rated very moderately for it as well. Their service is second to none. They've been and they're very long-standing, as I said. As an example, they've been doing Alaska cruises now. This is their 75th year in the Alaska business. Just to kind of give you an idea that they've been around a while and they really know what they're doing. Over on the left-hand side for explorers, I did mention that real briefly, and I'll show you some examples, but they really do a great job of enveloping the traveler in the areas that we're visiting. It's not just, okay, we pulled up to the dock and you get off and go do an excursion. There's a lot of things that they do, history, learning on board that I'll show you. So I'll do a little bit more on that. Music, as I said, they've got an excellent music program. And then the food is also top notch. They have a variety of restaurants, including the main dining room, of course. So a little bit about the music here. Just wanted to give you a couple of examples of what they've done in the last few years. They have a B.B. King's Blues Club where blues musicians will be performing nightly. They have a Lincoln Center stage, which is a very small and intimate stage. It's in the upper left-hand corner here, where actual Lincoln Center performers from the Lincoln Center in New York City are on board for the time that we are on the sailing, and they are going to be performing classical music, perhaps some soundtracks from musicals, things like that. They also have a piano bar, a dueling piano bar, but very well done. It'll be music that everyone recognizes, likes to sing with, some upbeat energy in there. And of course, they have musical acts throughout the cruise as well that you can see. They have multiple small venues. And then also that bigger theater that a lot of people are used to for nightly entertainment. As I mentioned, food on board is spectacular. This is just a example of some of the chefs and the things that they work with. This is a picture of the dining room, not on the Eurodam, but an example of how nice the ship is. It's very similar to this. I do have a picture of our dining room a little bit later. And then a little bit more about this immersive onboard programming that I mentioned. It's called Explorations Central, and it is designed to really bring the guest on board into the culture and the history of the places that we are going to be visiting. You get a lot more in-depth detail about the tours in this area. This is actually a space on board the ship where you can go. They may be giving stories or history lessons about the areas that we will be at. You can do further research into their culture or maybe perhaps food dishes that are popular for the places we will be visiting. It's a really neat onboard resource center that you can really learn a lot more about where we're going to be going. So here's a few pictures just of the cabins. I pulled in one here of the Neptune suite. It looks like perhaps my video is over the top of Neptune, but that's what this is. This is one of the, I would say, bigger suites. There are larger ones, but this is kind of a good starting point to give you an idea of what we're looking at in a suite category. The next one is their entry-level suite, which is a signature suite. And we do have pricing on these. I can get you pricing on the Neptune very easily. Here's your standard veranda cabin. This one happens to look off the back of the ship, but essentially all the veranda cabins are identical to this one. You'll have a small workspace, even a couch love seat area, and of course the king-size bed that can also break into two twins. But no matter what location your veranda cabin, it is pretty much identical to this. This is an ocean view, of course, with the picture window. Very similar to the veranda, pretty much the same size as well, and just a picture window instead of the actual outdoor veranda space. There are interior cabins available. Those, of course, would not have a window to the outside, and those I do have those priced out for people if they are interested as well. So let's look a little bit more quickly through some of these restaurant pictures. So as I mentioned, there is, of course, the main dining room. There was one large main dining room on this ship. It's 2 levels. But this is the Pinnacle Grill, which is probably the best steakhouse at sea. It's a very nice steakhouse, extremely good quality meats and seafood here. Service is excellent. This would be what we call a specialty restaurant on board, as well as Tamarind. That's Asian inspired. This is another specialty restaurant. And then CANALETTO. I always have trouble with that one. I don't know why. This is Italian inspired, of course, and this is another one of their specialty restaurants that you can go to. And I'll explain a little more about that, what that means. And this is Rudy's Celle de Mer, which is a kind of a higher end seafood restaurant that really is what they call a pop-up. In other words, there's not a dedicated space for this restaurant, but this restaurant will replace what is in Tamarind a night or two while we are on board. So instead of having Tamarind to be Asian every single night of the 10 nights, this restaurant will kind of take over, so to speak, or pop up a couple of times to give you a little more variety. Tamarind has a sushi bar, just a little example of that. You can always go up and just do sushi, which my wife and I love to do. And this is the main dining room, 2 levels, very large. There's not another one, but so everyone on board can eat here every night, and that's of course all included with the cruise fare that we have. Now the specialty restaurants are an additional charge, but with the package that we've put together, there is one already included, and you can utilize onboard credit to pay for really all the others, and you can visit all of them for no additional charge. And that will make a little more sense when I go over the inclusions in the package price. 24-hour in-room dining, which is an awesome perk. Many cruise ships don't have 24-hour dining. They may have some limited hours. And of course, some lines don't have room service at all. But Holland takes good care of their guests. They've got that any hour of the day. And here's just a few samplings of the more casual eateries. This is what we would consider the I guess the buffet restaurant, although it's not a traditional buffet, these are more set up. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. These are more set up in food stations instead of one big long line buffet. There's different food styles and themed food represented at different food stations where you would go and just find your own seat as a normal buffet. They've got a great, I guess, burger and fries joint, the Dive In, New York pizza. These are made to order, so this isn't pizza sitting around under the heating element. This is you go up, order it. Takes about 5 to 7 minutes to cook it, and you've got salads and desserts there. Even you can go with as well. So a nice quick lunch. This is your main stage. Just wanted to show you a couple of examples of entertainment on there. This is also the main stage, but in this particular setting, they have the BBC Earth Experience, which is directly derived from the English BBC cable network, and some of their musicians that play would be on board doing that as well. Postmodern Jukebox, that is the dueling piano bar that you can sing along. And then, of course, there are lots of other things to do on these ships. This is just a quick picture of the spa and salon. This is the common area with your jacuzzi and relaxing chairs where you're getting ready either pre or post spa treatment. And then the salon is really nice. I don't have a picture of this, but their manicure and pedicure stations are actually lined up in front of a floor-to-ceiling window, and you can see the sea and everything while you're getting your manicure, pedicure treatments. It's really neat. Fitness center, full-service fitness center. There'll also be some fitness classes if you are interested in some of those, such as yoga. And then also, of course, you can just work out on your own. They've got a huge variety. Microsoft Studio is this is a space on board the ship. It's very interesting, and I really like this concept. You can go here to use the computers, but mainly this is used for learning and figuring out new skills on the computer. They have formalized classes that you can do. For example, if you know how to use Microsoft Excel, and that's the spreadsheet program. But if you're not very good at it, what are some more features you could learn, or advanced features that you could learn to help you? And I think I'm even going to take advantage of this. So they teach you how to do all kinds of stuff computer-wise, which is really neat. Great for those sea days. Go in there for an hour and learn some new skills. So I really like that they do that. Excuse me. Port to table. This is an example of some of that enveloping you in the culture. This is a food and wine demonstration, cooking class, sampling, kind of all the above, but it's done specifically for those areas that we're visiting. So, for example, for sailing to Curacao that day, they may be having an introductory demonstration about native Curacao foods or beverages, and talking about those. You even you keep the recipe. You can take home and make things if you like. So I've talked a lot about all the ship and where we're going. This is the pricing list. The categories over here on the left really don't mean anything other than what cabin type that you are seeing, and positioning on the ship. For example, I've got 4 different veranda categories. Those veranda cabins are all identical. It just is a little bit different on where they are on the ship. If it's midship on a higher deck level, usually those tend to be more like the C or B or A, whereas verandas on the more of the end of the ship or way in the front might be the C or D. So it's just all about position on the ship, A, B, C, and D there. Then there's the ocean view, of course, and the interior. At the top, I skipped over this. signature suite, but as I mentioned, I can get you pricing on the Neptune suite if you are interested. Over here on the right, this is simply just broken down by cabin type. And if there are 2 people in the room, you're looking at this price per person here in this column. If there is just a single person going by themselves, this is the price for that single person for that cabin. As you notice, it's not quite double the charge, but that is very typical of the cruise industry. If you're wondering why price per person with 2 people is way lower than the one, it's not. You almost have to double the price. That's very typical. It's not quite doubled, but it is significantly more the price per person. Let me move on to this, and I'm gonna see if I can move. There we go. I'm going to move that over because now we can see. So this is the pricing that you just saw. This is what it includes. And this is a very comprehensive package. Everything is going to be based upon leaving and returning right to ClarkLindsey in Urbana. So let's start at the top. Of course, cruise fare, which does include all your entertainment, all your food except for those specialty restaurants. And then taxes, fees, port. This is the full kit and caboodle here as far as the cruise goes. Then with the package, everyone will get a $200 shore excursion credit. So you can use that toward doing an excursion at one of our ports of call. This is per cabin, $200 per cabin. You get the signature beverage package. So this is their highest level of beverage package. So this is going to include alcohol as well. So everything from specialty coffees to smoothies to beer, wine, and mixed drinks, that's all included there. You do get 1 night specialty dining included already. You get Wi-Fi for the duration of the cruise. That's their surf package. If you require something that's a higher speed, they do have a step up from this that you just pay the difference. All your ship gratuities are going to be included, so there's nothing to pay at the end of the cruise in terms of gratuities. And then everyone will get a $150 or more onboard credit. And I'll give you that specific when we know what cabin and how many people are in the cabin. Some of those factors determine the exact amount, but it's a pretty good onboard credit here because you can use this $150 to go to some of the other specialty dining restaurants. You could use it for anything really on board, such as a spa treatment and things like that. So any purchases at the gift shop. So that just comes right off of your bill, basically. We're going to have a round trip motor coach to and from the airport. We are planning on flying out of Indianapolis. More on that in a second. This also includes your hotel in Fort Lauderdale. So we will be flying out of Indianapolis to Fort Lauderdale the day before the cruise starts. So we want to travel as a group, get everybody down there relaxed. We'll have a hotel right by the port that we are staying at. And then all the transfers are included to get us to and from the airport, the hotel, and the port, and then back to the airport, of course, at the end of the cruise. So all that's included. And then finally, the ClarkLindsey ambassador fee. And that is so that we can have several, I believe 2 of the staff for ClarkLindsey will be joining us. My wife, Beth, and myself will both be on there as well. So you actually have 4 representatives, 2 from ClarkLindsey, 2 from Travel by Beth, that will be with the entire group the whole time. So we are there to problem solve. Of course, the ClarkLindsey people will be there as a familiar face, and Beth and I will be there to assist in any manner possible, especially with the travel arrangements. If we have any issues, that's something we'll solve immediately, and you won't have to worry about that. It's one of the advantages of having us going with you. Now, what does it not include? So we've got what it includes on the left here. On the right now, we are waiting on airfare schedules to be released for Southwest Airlines. That's our most likely airline that we want to use. They have a great schedule from Indianapolis down to Fort Lauderdale, nonstop. So we're estimating that around $500 per person. We don't know that yet, but keep in mind the airfare amount and your travel insurance amount is not included in the pricing you saw earlier. We will release how much the airfare is as soon as we can, of course, and travel insurance will be quoted for each individual when you're making your deposit. But you can estimate that at around $400 to $600 per person, and that's if you're double occupancy. If you are a single occupant of the cabin, you're going to be close to double that. Again, not quite double, but something similar to that. And we've got a couple of another option. If that's pricing is not what you would like to see as a single, we can certainly work a different option that is just directly with Holland America, but it's only going to cover that cruise portion, and I can explain those details individually if you have a question. Okay. And I think that is about it. Of course, if once you've concluded watching the video here and a little bit about what we're doing and the ship, if you have any questions whatsoever, please contact me directly. My name is John Mills, M-I-L-L-S. You can email me at John, J-O-H-N, at travelbybeth.com. Travelbybeth.com. So that's Travelby, and then the name Beth, B-E-T-H, travelbybeth.com. And I would be happy to answer your questions. We'd love to have you come along. We're looking for a group of about 30 people. And if you are interested, please get a hold of us as soon as possible. We do have some deadlines coming up in the next 10 days or so. So if you are interested, please let us know. And we will get the appropriate forms to you to fill out to join us. Have a great rest of your day.